This is Akashvani. In the program Spotlight, now we bring a discussion on capitalizing India's youth prowess for Viksit Bharat by 2047. The participants are Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and Rajesh Lake, anchor.
Mr. Tandon, how can the youth further contribute to the vision of Viksit Bharat by 2047 through innovative solutions and entrepreneurial endeavors?
Youth of India is already contributing. They are in a mission mode, if I may say so. And I think the major contribution which is being witnessed not all over India, but even abroad, even in many developed countries, is through their active participation in the Skill India mission. And as we all know, this mission basically is to develop and create convergence across sectors and states in terms of skill training activities. And similarly, the contribution in Make in India initiative of the Government of India, that also is in a big way it is facilitating investment and fostering innovation. It's enhancing skill development and protecting intellectual property and building best-in-class manufacturing infrastructure. There are so many initiatives where the youth is already participating in a big way, and their contribution is likely to go up during this Amrit Kaal. And the initiative Digital India Mission, Startup India Mission, and to keep them fit is the Fit India movement. If we look at the Startup India, it's a flagship initiative of the Modi government, and it is actually catalyzing startup culture and building a strong and inclusive ecosystem for innovation and entrepreneurship. No, instead of youth asking for jobs, now the youth is creating jobs. Their contribution is already visible. And as you said, what more needs to be done on behalf of the youth? The government is also very crucial. And the government also is providing opportunities to them, and it's obliterating all sorts of hurdles which the youth has been facing over the decades. So the government initiatives also is very important for the youth to enhance their contribution, whether it is the sector of education, employment, entrepreneurship, even in the emerging sectors, as I said, like startup, skill and sports. So these sectors are contributing in a big way, and the government is also not lagging behind. They are opening up new IITs, NITs. Today, the whole world is looking toward India as a new skill force. The other ways where the government can, in a way, encourage the youth to contribute more and during the next 25 years.
Okay, you mentioned the startup mission, you mentioned the skill development. So how do you envision harnessing the technological skills of the youth to propel India's growth and development over the next few decades?
In India, we see that new horizons of opportunity are being opened for the youth. And as I said earlier, the government is also working with full force. So the technological revolution which India has been experiencing, look at the IT sector. The IT sector alone is contributing in a big way. India today is seen as an IT superpower. And if I may give an example, which the Prime Minister also gave during his address to the National Youth Festival, that India was the only country which provided the vaccine certificate through digital means, and where most of the other countries, including developed countries, were giving only a paper certificate. So the technological revolution which India is witnessing, I think it will go a long way in achieving the target which you have been talking about.
What is today shapes what is tomorrow. So what can the educational institutions do to better prepare the youth for leadership roles in shaping the future of India by 2047?
The new education policy, which is already in vogue, has been contributing towards that, because this policy is based on the pillars of access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. And it is achieving its aim, that is to make both school and colleges, the college education, more holistic, multidisciplinary, and flexible. So that means the policy has laid down, and it's now for the educational institutions to achieve the targets which they are setting in. And by and large, it has got acceptability. I think most of the Indian educational institutions are moving towards that. And therefore, there should be no reason to have any kind of unnecessary doubts about it that the education system in India will be lagging behind any developed country in the world.
Viksit Bharat also emphasizes quite a bit on sustainable development. So, how can the youth actively engage in environmentally conscious initiatives and practices?
See, again, I would mention the initiatives which have been launched by the government in these fields, and the youth and the number of institutions, voluntary organizations, they are coming in a big way in achieving these targets. So, therefore, the ecosystem which has been now created, it will do the needful, and I'm sure that the program, like many youth are coming out, for instance, to begin with a very small thing like cleanliness drive, and this has become a movement. And there are so many groups which are working on global warming issue and other environment issues. So I think we should not be thinking in terms of in a very pessimistic way. I'm personally very optimistic, and I do feel that the challenges of climate change and all these things are being taken care of, and including in the agriculture sector and all these things. The youth is, accepting these challenges and converting them into opportunity.
The young people, Mr. Tandon, are a powerhouse of ideas. So, how can the government and the private sector collaborate to support and invest in youth led initiatives that align with the vision of Viksit Bharat?
Private sector, unfortunately, has not been marching in tune with the government policies in the past. But now we see, as the government policies are being unfolded, the private sector is also taking interest in achieving the targets, and they are, in a way, promoting the youth. So, if we can talk about, the responsibilities and all these things, if I may quote the Prime Minister's address at the 27th Youth Festival in Nasik the other day, and he said that his government is doing its best to, accept these challenges and encourage the youth to convert them into opportunity. I'm not saying that nothing is being done, but I feel that all these, initiatives during the Amrit Kal are proving to be very fruitful, and the country is on course to become a superpower by 2047.
Also, the fact is that the government's focus is on the inclusive society. Prime Minister's focusing on it, and all the policies are also moving towards inclusive society. So, how can the youth actively promote social harmony and bridge gaps in diverse communities across the nation?
See, if I may say so, the youth of India in particular, they don't, differentiate between communities and all these things unless, the politics comes in and they try to promote this kind of divisiveness. So, left to the youth, they will not be getting involved into these things. And therefore, I think what you need to do is through education. That is one area, and towards that, the new education policy is already, working to develop a modern skilling ecosystem, etc. So I think the India's diverse culture and unity in diversity is well recognized by the youth, and unless exploited by certain vested interests and elements, they wholeheartedly would like to, work collectively with all sections of the society, and that is visible by and large in most of the sectors where India is marching ahead, whether it is economic, whether it is social, whether it is agriculture, whether it is cultural, and in India's, cultural heritage also has always been promoting this kind of unity in diversity. So one should not be worried about the attempts being made by certain sections and certain elements to create this kind of a wedge between sections of the society on caste, creed, or other basis. So I think youth, unless, as I said, misled, is always in favor of very, very an exclusive society and exclusive approach, inclusive approach to every segment of the society, every field of development.
True.
So inclusiveness is very paramount in Indian, and it is inherent in Indian system, Indian ethos, and Indian culture, and that is exactly what the youth has been following.
Very important, Ashokji, is the entrepreneurship. It is a key driver actually for the economic development, for the economic growth. So, how can policies be tailored to encourage more young people to venture into entrepreneurial endeavors and contribute towards India's economic prosperity?
As I said, certain initiatives which we discussed in the beginning also, in which now the private sector is also coming up in a big way. The entrepreneurship as a Startup India is one initiative, and if we look at a Digital India mission, so some of these Make in India mission, so they are promoting entrepreneurship, and I must say that the private sector is now coming forward. So the government initiatives, the government policies, coupled with the support from the private sector in India, even some of the Indian multinationals are also in a way contributing, and that is encouraging the youth to move towards entrepreneurship. As I said, the Make in India initiative alone is now, and Startup India, they are now creating jobs. Youth is not now searching for jobs, they are creating jobs for others. So entrepreneurship, I think, is very much in the mind of the youth of India, and that's where role of the government, private sector, and the youth, all these put together, I think will achieve all the targets and to make India an economic superpower by 2047 and Viksit Bharat.
In all this, and we did slightly touch upon this aspect earlier, but I would like you to delve a little deeper into this, and this relates to the education system, which can reform to foster critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving skills, and empower the youth to address the challenges India may face in the coming decades. So, education in this aspect can play a major role. What do you say?
Certainly. See, since our childhood, we have been, learning about what Lord Macaulay did to Indian system, etc., etc. But there was no very credible alternative provided to the younger generation and then to the education system as such. So mere talk used to be there that Lord Macaulay spoiled India's and then, created a divide and rule, etc. But now a very credible new education policy has been put in force. As I said earlier, pillars are access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. And now schools and colleges education system is now becoming holistic, multidisciplinary, and flexible. So, and private educational institutions are also coming up in a big way to support it. So I think the education reforms in the education sector were long pending. Now, some initiative has been taken through this new policy. It is working. The results are also visible. So I think these things will go a long way in achieving what we have in mind and what exactly you were suggesting.
With those very elaborative comments on various aspects and how India's youth prowess can help India's become a Viksit Bharat by 2047. We thank you for your wholehearted support and contribution towards this discussion, Mr. Ashok Tandon. Thank you so much for being with Akashvani.
Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on capitalizing India's youth prowess for Viksit Bharat by 2047. The participants were Ashok Tandon, political analyst, and Rajesh Lake, anchor. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of Akashvani. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.